Well, I think Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is the leader of the Democratic Party today. Some might say Senator Schumer, but
Schumer's at a 17% approval rating today. 17. Democrats are in the 20s.
Yeah. I think it's Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. And as I said before, she's entitled to her opinions. You know, my personal opinion is that God gave her a billy goat brain and a mockingbird mouth. You know, I mean, look, I believe in the power of ideas, and my Democratic colleagues have no ideas. All they have is hatred for one man, even when he's right.
And when we first did one of these seminars, Tom Homan, then acting director of ICE, said that he was going to threaten to refer me to DOJ because I'm using my free speech rights in order to advise people of their constitutionally guaranteed protections. And he may want to do it again today. And to that I say, come for me. You're going to have to come for me.
They gamed the system. They changed it.
And who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, you know, but right now they have no leader. Okay? You know, but this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand, too. Both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, okay? And I don't know if that's going to transfer. We should have won 4 more seats in the Senate. If you looked at the last 70 races for the Senate, 69 follow exactly the way
I think it's Moore versus Youngkin. That's where I see it.
Youngkin would be excellent.
Youngkin
it's going to go back to
MAGA adjacent, and then Vance and Jr. will fight it out for that crowd.
You're AOC and Bernie, and who's at the top of the ticket?
They're going to lead right now.
Who's at the top of that ticket, Kevin? Because if it's not Bernie, he's going to be vice president and then wait his turn?
No, it would be. Bernie's been running each time. I'm just saying who's in the lead right now. I don't think that's how it ends up.
But big crowds don't necessarily mean who's the right candidate. You know, when I started...
No, but it drives where the ideas are going to go. It's going to drive the money for a while.
It doesn't make them the winner.
It doesn't make them the winner. You'll have to wait till you'll get 2 years out, and then you'll start seeing these governors that start showing solutions. You also have to know, what is the issue going to be? Are we going to have a foreign policy issue? Are we going to have an economic issue? And who's been the best in leading in that? But right now, for the Democrats, who's going to lead for the next 2 years? The money is going to... AOC outraised everybody in the House.
And it's all small donors.
It's all small donors.
Yeah.
And this is exactly where Trump was when no one gave him a chance at 17. He outraised everybody else. So that's where the base is at.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who right now is the front runner to be the Democrat Party nominee for president in 2028. Yes. She is the current leader of the Democrat Party. Now, the problem with the Democrats is that they have a lot of issues, okay? The main issue is that they are extremely Trump deranged, right? And they also are woke, right? They're far left on social issues, and their Trump derangement keeps them from working with the president on things that actually make sense, okay? So the Democrat Party is a party with no real direction, okay? And this is why they are in a state of chaos, right? This is why their approval ratings are the lowest that we've ever seen. Even for popular Democrats like AOC, they have big issues dealing with the base of their party, because the base of their party are far left radicals who have been radicalized by radicals like AOC, right? And that is a huge issue for the Democrat Party for multiple reasons. The primary reason being that it makes it impossible for Democrats to move to the right, which is what Democrats need to do if they actually want to be a quote unquote big tent party. But that risks the Democrats losing their far left base of supporters, okay, who are very, very, very passionate about the issues they care about. And they are not going to accept Democrats moving to the right, right? In fact, they believe that Democrats aren't far left enough. And what happened to AOC at this town hall in her district in Jackson Heights, Queens, is exactly what I'm talking about, because you had a far left heckler come out and call AOC a war criminal to her face for not supporting Gaza enough. Yes, this far leftist is upset with AOC, say you're a war criminal for not supporting Gaza enough. Take a look.
Really hard to defend.
I know what you're doing about the genocide in Gaza. You're a war criminal.
criminal! War criminal!
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, what I find to be hilarious, absolutely hilarious about this heckling, okay, is that if this happened to a Republican, CNN, MSNBC, they will be playing it everywhere. See, Republicans getting heckled at their own town halls, right? Although they leave out the fact that these are far left deranged lunatics, right? These are not Republicans. Okay, this is not MAGA. That's not us, right? It's not our people. We're not doing that to Republicans, even though, there are times where we should put pressure on Republicans to do the right thing, right? So I'm just saying that right now, we're not doing that, right? These are far leftists. Now, the difference is that at the far left town halls, the Democrat town halls, it's not just Republicans that are upset with Democrats, but also other Democrats, right? Other far leftists, right? Far left progressives are upset with Democrats. And that's exactly what you're seeing here at AOC's town hall. This woman is a healthcare worker, and she is AOC's constituent. She says, quote, "You're a war criminal, war criminal, war criminal. Shame on you. I used to support you." Yeah. So basically, this is somebody that used to support AOC, and she has turned on AOC for not being far left enough, right? Because I can tell you, there's a lot of things that I could say about AOC, but I don't think that I can say she's pro-Israel, right? I do not think that she's pro-Israel, okay? Now, does that mean that she's quote-unquote doing enough for Gaza? I don't know, right? But what I do know is that I don't think she's pro-Israel. So with that being said, what we're seeing here is exactly what I have been talking to you guys about when it comes to this issue that the Democrat Party is going to have, right? Which is that their far left base has become so radicalized that if Democrats are not far left enough, then they're going to lose their supporters, right? They're not going to get the people that they need to vote for them in order to win, right? The far left is going to turn on the Democrats, right? If they are not far left enough on certain issues, like, for example, when it comes to Trump. And AOC knows this because AOC was confronted about the efforts from some of the lunatics in the Democrat Party to impeach President Trump. And I want you guys to listen to how carefully AOC answers this question, because she's developed enough political savvy to know that this impeachment conversation is very premature and it could very well backfire on the Democrats if they decide to make the midterms about impeaching President Trump. Listen to how she answers this question. Take a look.
Of course, I mean, we should never take impeachment off the table. We should never take where we see law breaking. We should never take accountability off the table. And I don't think that we should be, promising anything the way that Trump tries to promise certain, locking up his political enemies. But I do believe that our legal processes exist for a reason. Impeachment exists for a reason, and it should absolutely be on the table. It should be on the table for every president. Every president should know that if you break the law, you could be prone to removal from office.
But should you pursue it? Should you pursue impeachment?
Should it be pursued?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that there is plenty of law breaking that should be examined and looked at. But the question is what articles, what would be filed, etc. But I voted for and supported impeachment in Trump's first term because he illegally withheld funds from Ukraine, and he also incited a terrorist attack right here, right behind us. And so, yeah, I think that those are things that I felt that those were grounds for impeachment, and I think it was also grounds for removal. But once again, I also don't think that impeachment is something that is used explicitly as a political attack. There must be grounds, and there very well may be, especially in the next year or two.
Yeah, so I hope you guys noticed how she tried to thread the needle on that question, right? Because that's definitely what she was doing. She was doing some political gymnastics there, right? Dancing around actually committing to impeaching the president. Now, these are the same people who have accused the president of deporting U.S. citizens, right? That's what they've accused him of. They've accused him of turning this country into Nazi Germany, okay? They have accused the president of ignoring the Supreme Court, right? If you're accusing the president of all these things, would they not be grounds for impeachment if you believe that that's what he's actually doing, right? If you really believe that, right? Would that not be grounds to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should impeach this guy. The reason why they're not committing to it is because they know that impeachment is a double-edged sword. Like AOC knows that trying to impeach the president or making the midterms out impeaching the president is going to put Trump on the ballot. They also know that their reasons behind impeaching the president are garbage, right? They know it's garbage. At this point, it is political theater, but that's the exact type of political theater that the far left radicals of the Democrat Party want, right? That's what they want. And see, that's the issue that the Democrats are facing. They're coming out here and accusing President Trump of all these things that are not true, right? They're telling lies about the president, trying to make him seem like the worst person ever, right? Like he's Hitler. So, of course, when you radicalize people to believe that the president is Hitler, why would they not want you to remove Hitler, right? They're going to want you to do everything in your power to remove Hitler, even if that includes trying to impeach the president, right? I mean, that's what they're going to want. That's what they're going to demand, because you've essentially radicalized them to believe that that's the only way to stop the president, that he has to be stopped at all costs. And that is the problem that Democrats face. So if they choose not to try to impeach the president, if they choose not to try to make the midterms about impeaching the president, then they risk not being able to mobilize their radicalized base. Their radicalized base will not be motivated to vote for Democrats, because at this point, all the radicals want is for Trump to be removed. They want him removed and they want him arrested and thrown in jail. That's what they really want. That's what they want Democrats to do. But if they choose the other option of trying to make the midterms about impeachment, then it can backfire, because, again, you're going to be putting Trump on the ballot. And when Trump is on the ballot, Democrats lose. But again, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And the Democrats know this. That's the hilarious part about it. They know this. Look at how AOC answered that question. She's very non-committal. They're accusing President Trump of doing everything under the sun, but you're non-committal on impeaching him, right? It's almost as if, again, you really don't believe the things that you're saying, that the things that you're saying are nonsense, and that you're trying to radicalize your base. But the problem is that when your base is radicalized, like the far left base, they expect you to do stuff, right? They expect you to actually treat Hitler like he's Hitler. Okay, that's what they expect you to do, which in and of itself is a dangerous thing, a very, very, very dangerous game that Democrats are playing with. I mean, look at how they treated Elon Musk. The mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party said that Elon was a Nazi. And then the radical lunatics started firebombing Teslas, right? They started committing acts of domestic terrorism in response to the radicalization. So I think that video of AOC getting heckled by this woman for not being pro-Gaza enough is exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how far left you are as a Democrat on these issues. You're never going to be far left enough for the radical of the radical, okay? And that's the reality that Democrats are facing. And it really is a situation that they've dug themselves into due to their Trump derangement. They've only got here because the only thing they stand for is against Trump. And when you don't stand for anything except being against Trump, it puts you in these types of situations politically. And I do not understand why is it that Democrats have not figured that out yet, right? Why have they not figured that out, okay? It's almost as if they have no ideas, right? They're a party of no ideas except anything that Trump is for, they're against, right? That's it, right? That's it. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.